So today we'll do 2.37. Perhaps I can't say it is the most famous, but one of the more easily recognized shlokas of the Gita. And I think most of it us can relate with it. However, in the context of the Gita, it's very interesting. And I come back to my old theory that the Gita is multi-layered. It is not a simple on the surface text. There are layers and layers beneath it. So, and I was actually trying to write, the Gita has given me so many theories that I think I'll become famous for my theories on the Gita. And one of the theories is, you know what esotericism is? Esoteric and exoteric. Any religion has two aspects. The exoteric, which is the outer aspect, the rituals, you go to the temple, you pray, that's the exoteric. You do japa, you do part, everyone can see it. That is exoteric. The esoteric is the one that's hidden, that is behind the surface. That is the true practice, the inner practice, this change of your psychology, the revolution that happens within you. That's the esoteric, but no one talks about it. In fact, our ancients, since the Veda, they didn't talk about it. They just hinted it. In fact, it was not given to everybody. Only those who were very interested would see that, would hear that, would understand it. And years of training and practice to start seeing what is hidden behind. So that is the esoteric. And so my theory is that the Gita is a very esoteric work of literature, because there are things on the surface, and then there are things that are going behind it. And on the surface, this is a very simple dialogue going on between two great warriors, and he's giving him logic, and he's using logic to make him understand. This is the surface, upper layer, logic, rhetoric, how to convince the other. Brilliant mind just convincing his student, trying all kinds of tricks. But beneath that, there is a subtlety of thought. So if you go take a step back just behind, look at the subtlety of thought, how brilliantly he puts together the various concepts and metaphysics, what we call metaphysics, that which goes beyond physics. And if we take another step behind, then we come to the world of experience. Actual, practical experience. And those who have, and all of you have struggled in life, seen the good and the bad, and when the things are really bad, what kind of attitude can we take? And suddenly it starts taking you to a different world of experience. And if you just stay very quietly, he's basically stage by stage taking you from the first step, which is how to think. Arjuna, how do you start thinking? Here you came up with a brilliant thesis why you should not fight. But did you really think this through? You came up with consequences. We have to save our Kula. We have to save our Rashtra. Did you really think it through? So beautifully he breaks it down. Look at all the consequences. Really, and first 2.5 chapters, really second and third, are a logical breaking down of the consequences. Then he is teaching him how to see, not just how to think, how to see behind the surface. Finally, he's teaching him how to be. How do you approach things? What attitude you should be doing things with? What should your consciousness be? So it may be called what is in ethics, right? We have ethics. Ethics is do this, speak the truth, help others, don't disrespect your parents. Like this is ethical behavior. Now, here it is what we may call meta ethics. This goes beyond ethics. Not what you should be doing, but how should you be doing? So the 10 commandments are very simple. Thou shalt not do this. Thou shalt not do this. Here it is how shalt. How should you do this? And so he's taking him to a different psychological framework. And we've talked about it in the past. He breaks his paradigm of thinking. But really, he is teaching him how to think clearly. And when you really start thinking, you become subtle. If you really start going deep into everything, every step, every action, vichara, manana, you start thinking subtly, and suddenly you reach a different world of sukshma astitva, where you're not just grossly reacting to things, a subtler approach, a quieter way, deliberate thought process. And from that deliberate thought process, if you really stay with it, Sri Krishna takes you to a way of seeing, a way of being, how to do things. So that's the genius, of course, of Sri Krishna. And I keep saying that the same thing in different ways, but today it just came very strongly to me. So I just wanted to share that. So let's go to our shloka, and then hopefully we'll do as a bonus, we will do our first 7 vibhaktis of the akaranta pullinga. Ekvachana. I know that sounds very heavy. We'll make it fun. You've done it. And the way we will try to do it is what you already know, we will pull it out of it. So you've used these words, you've used these phrases, and then we'll try to bring it up. So let's try to read this. And please don't forget to remind me to test your memory. It sounds paradoxical. Please remind me to test our memories. We'll go back and do some smarana. And this is another theory of mine, that when in our gurukuls, they did not start with Vyakarana. They did not start teaching, okay, the baby is here, the little boy, 3-year-old, 4-year-old, let's start with Vyakarana. Kartane, Karamko, right? And they started with the patha, the hearing, the recitations, the sound. It gets absorbed in you. Then the smarana, the teacher teaches you the mantra. You learn the first mantra from the guru, and then you start learning more and more. Then after years of just doing this and hearing this and eating it and swallowing it and inhaling it, then they start explaining the Vyakarana, and then Vyakarana becomes very easy. So that is my brilliant theory. You may or you may not agree, but I feel that is how our children, our ancient rishis learned. And I think that's how we should learn. And that is our approach. And that's how my hook. So since it was my hook, I think it can be a hook for others. So let's read this. Hato va prapsyasi swargam. And when you even just read it, the patha will start coming into you because it's so natural. This Sanskrit is so beautiful. Jitva va bhokshase mahim. It will take you to that sound. If you read it properly, it will take you. Tasmaduttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krit nishchayah. So we'll start paying attention to the visargas. Now we'll start paying attention to the sandhis and a little bit of grammar, since you start enjoying it. And on the surface, let's do the first pada or charana. Hato va prapsyasi swargam. Look at how beautiful the rhythm is. Hatha is killed, dead. Hatha, like we say, Sanskrita. Krita is that which is made in a perfect way. Krita, my own name, Parikshita. Parikshita is one who is tested. So Sanskrit uses the verb to create nouns, right? Hana is the verb, the root, what we call the dhatu. Dhatu does not exist in real life. Dhatu is our concept. From that root came the word. We don't usually use the dhatu, han. In Sanskrit, we don't use the dhatu, but from the dhatu, all these words came. So the concept is, to the dhatu, you add guna and you add vriddhi. And so then the dhatu han becomes a hanta or hato. These are all vriddhis. You're adding to the dhatu. It took me a long time to understand this dhatu. So if I'm giving this to you because otherwise it drives you crazy. What is this dhatu? Where can you find it? So think of it as the abstract element that creates dhatu, the pure element from which the words are derived. Hato, hataha is the word. Hataha means killed. Va and va. You will see two vas in the first two padas. Hato va prapsyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim. Va, va, either or. That is, first va is either, second va is or. Prapsyasi, prapt hona, to receive, to achieve, to get. And remember, if you remember, gacchami, gacchasi, gacchati. Gacchami, I go. Gacchasi. So now this is a word that has come, prapsyasi. So you will. Now this is prapsya. So if I said gamishyami, gamishyasi, gamishyati, what happened? I just added shya to it. So gacchami is I go, gamishyami is I will go. So the present becomes the future. Very easy. Future is easy. So gamishyasi, gacchasi, you go. Gamishyasi, you will go. So prapsyasi is you will receive, you will get. Right? Swargam. Swargam is heaven, translated as heaven. But let's not confuse our swarga with their swarga. Notice what I said. Our swarga is just one loka, one region. It is not the highest region. In the other systems of thought, swarga, heaven is the highest. You do good in this life, God will give you heaven, the highest state. In our approach, swarga is only one of the regions, one of the lokas. In the Veda, of course, there are 7 lokas. And then if you go deeper into it, there are 7 lokas, above which there are more 7 lokas, below which there are 7 lokas. And as you can keep refining it and going thinner and thinner. But we also live in several lokas. If you may have noticed, we don't just live in one loka. We don't just live on earth and the physical world, right? We also live in the pranic world. We also live in the mental world. If you have seen a philosopher, you hardly think that the philosopher lives in the physical world. The philosopher is living somewhere else, right? They say he's a space cadet, lives somewhere else. But our ancients discovered layers above it. And when we say bhu bhuva suvaha, om tat savitur varenyam, right? Bhargo devasya dhimahi, dhiyo yo naf prachodayat, right? Our famous. So om bhur bhuva suvaha. Bhu is the earth, physical earth. Bhuva is what is called the antariksha, the world between, just above the physical, and suvaha. Suvaha is the world of the sun. Suha is always good. Suvaha is that higher region of the sun. Between that is the vital world of the antariksha. And then there are layers and layers. So here, Swarga is not the highest. So don't think, okay, the Sri Krishna is using the logic of other religions, and religions like, say, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, where heaven is the highest. This is a reward program, bonus program. You do good, you get a reward, you go to heaven. For us, heaven is just a stage. There are higher stages above it. Jitva va bhokshase mahim. Jitva, we have come across this tva before. And if you remember 33, 33rd shloka, tatah swadharmam kirtim cha hitva papam vapsyasi. Hitva. And then you go to 35th, yesham chatvam bahumataha bhutva yasyasi lagavam. So it's called the tva suffix. Suffix is what comes after a word in Sanskrit and changes the meaning. And you will see, what is it called? I think it's called pratyaya. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Pratyaya, upasarga and pratyaya. Pratyaya comes after. So whenever we say jitva, means jeet kar, having won. In English, it's called a gerund, having won. Or in 2.35, if you remember, bhutva yasyasi lagvam, you will become, having in their mind, the mind of all these great Maharathis, you have become, having become, you will be small or little. Lagavam, lagu. Same thing in 2.33. Cha hitva. Hitva means khokar, to lose. Hit is actually in the direction of. So that is the true meaning of hit. Again, hit is similar to hata, parikshita, sanskrita, hita. Like we say, hita is sahitya, that which is meant for everyone. Sahitya. Hita, which is directed towards everyone. So I'm throwing a lot of words, but jitva, hitva, bhutva, these will come a lot in Sanskrit, and it is the tva ending. And we can go in more detail, but jitva means having won. Jitva va is or, having won. Bhoksha se. Bhoksha, remember we did comes from the root bhaga or dhatu bhaga. Bhaga is to apportion, to assign. From this bhaga came bhoga, when we enjoy something. Or bhagya. Bhagya, each one is apportioned certain things in life, that is called bhagya. The ancient Vedic god was Bhaga. Bhaga was a very important Vedic god who was the god of joy. So we have Vedic gods, 4 very important Vedic gods who help us in our yogic journey. And Bhaga is one of those Vedic gods, very important. Varuna, Mitra, Bhaga, and Aryaman. If you can remember that, Varuna, Mitra come very often. And so I won't bother you with too much of the Vedic knowledge, but the Bhaga is important Vedic god. Bhokshase, so you will enjoy. Mahim, Mahim is the earth. So now what does it mean? If you die, you will get heaven. If you win, you will enjoy the earth. So very simple, straightforward, practical, but there is a deeper psychology behind it. There is nothing to lose. Do not be afraid. Constant message. There is nothing to lose. This religion is not fear-based. This is not that if you don't do what I tell you, you will suffer and I will put you through hell and you will go and end up burned for the next, for the rest of your existence. So, hato va prapsisi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim. Now, usually, as we have said, ma at the end is not one that we will spend more time on because it's half. It is without the vowel, mahim. But in Patha, you are allowed to stretch even if the ending is not a full akshara. So, jitva va bhokshase mahim. I can say mahim, I can stretch it. So that's allowed. Normal Sanskrit, you will not say mahim, you'll say mahim. Tasmat, tasmat is therefore. Tasmat, uttishta, this is a sandhi. Tasmata and uttishta. So the ta becomes the. Tasmaduttishta. Uttishta means get up. Uttishta, Uttishta Bharata, as Swami Vivekananda used to tell us constantly. Uttishta Bharat, get up. Kaunteya, his mother was Kunti, so the son of Kunti is Kaunteya. Yuddhaya, Yuddha ke liye, for Yuddha. Krita, again, see, Hataha, Hata, Krita, done. Krita is done. Made. Nishchayaha. Nishchaya is solid, being firm in determination. Nishchayaha. So I hope the meaning, and beautifully, Anvaya is given underneath Hataha. They've broken each word. Hataha va svargam prapsyasi jitva va mahim bhokshase. You can see the different words. And someday, if we get better at it, then the genius of Sanskrit linguistics is it goes even, it breaks the words down to sound. So, for example, mahima, ma sound, what does it give you the sense of? And I think we've talked about it in the past. Just go back, forget all the wordiness that I'm, talking. Go back to the ma sound. What does it give you a sense of? What does it connect you with immediately? Ma. Most languages that we know of, Indo-European languages, have ma word giving rise to? Yes, end, completeness, fulfillment. And the first thing that the child, first sound, one of the first sounds the baby, as the baby is growing, is able to pronounce is ma. And that ma gets connected to the child's end, and everything, the whole existence of the child is what? The mother. So ma is a word. You will see the sound will come in most Indo-European languages. Ma is mother. This is my theory. If you don't agree, please feel free to disagree. But in our Sanskrit, ma always is completion. Even om, ma is completion. A is the beginning, the absolute, the beginning. Ma is the end. And if you go back to the sounds, ka, kha, ga, gha, na, ka comes much lower. Cha, cha, ja, jha, ya comes higher. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Ta, tha, da, dha, na. Ta is where your tongue is touching the palate. Pa, pa, ba, bha, ma. Final words, final sounds are coming from the lips called the labials, and the last of the labial is ma. Ma is also called has the anuswara sound. So ma is not just through your lip, but it has also the nose resonating, the resonance through the nose, and that's the nasal touches there. So ma. So say mahim, you will break it down to the root sounds, and that's the genius of our Sanskrit linguistics. And those who get interested, we can talk more about it. But see, Western linguistics takes the words as the root, as the unit. Sanskrit linguistics, which is far more advanced, far older, goes to the root sounds. Sri Aurobindo calls them the seed sounds, or bij dhvani. It goes to the bij dhvani. And once we start enjoying the bij dhvani, you will see that resonance in poetry, in different languages, in how we speak, how our brains respond to certain sounds. If we even change one little root sound, the sense changes. So, shall we do the part, I suppose? So usually, as we have done, this is the chand. Anyone knows what the chand is?
Anushtup.
What kind of chand?
Anushtup it is.
Anushtup. So there are only two chandas in the entire Gita, Anushtup and the Trishtup. Anushtup is also used in the Veda. So as you start getting used to the Anushtup, you will realize there is Anushtup in the Gita, in the Veda, and Anushtup Ramayana started with Anushtupa. So let's do the Patha. Shall we? You want to play this, Swamiji?
Yeah.
Go ahead. It's just beautiful. So see how he gives enough time to the dirgha aksharas, the dirgha sounds. Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim tasmaduttishta kaunteya yuddhaya krita nishchayah. If you see how he krita, he shortens, he quickly, because kri is small, ta is small, krita nishchayah. So how beautifully he stretches, he goes, and he doesn't restrict himself, he lets his voice flow. That is why he's such a genius. So if anyone wants to do the Patha with me, anyone wants to volunteer, please feel free, and we will quickly do the Patha. And I'm hoping that all of you are able to do the Patha on your own more and more. And if you come to a shloka, just if there's any problem, listen to Swami Brahmananda ji or other great reciters, and this will become natural to you. Yeah. Anyone wants to do it?
Somebody new who hasn't done it before will be nice.
Swamiji, why don't you do it?
I can. Jitain wants to also do it.
Who wants to do it?
Jitain.
Okay.
Jitain, let's do it.
But I'll have to read. I can't do it out of. Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshyase mahim tasmat uddishta kaunteya युद्धाय कृत निश्चयसी
निश्चयः आप तो अपना ही बना रहे हो. So let's do just the first pad. Hatho va prapsyasi swargam. Let's try that, Jitin.
हतो वा प्राप्स्यसि स्वर्गम.
Good. Jitva va bhokshyase mahim.
चित्वा वा भोक्ष्यसे महीम्.
Tasmaduttishta kaunteya.
तस्मात् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय.
इसको एक करो. Tasmaduttishta.
तस्मात् उत्तिष्ठ
kaunteya.
तस्मात् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय.
युद्धाय कृत निश्चयः.
युद्धाय कृत निश्चयः.
Good. So you're getting good at it. And it is my firm belief that once you all start doing Patha, Sanskrit will become easier for everyone, each of you to learn. That is my theory. I hope you will fulfill my theory. And,
We are the lab, basically. The theory can be experimented.
Right. So, but I was the lab. That's how I learned. I gave up on all these Vyakarana lessons. But now, since you are here, let me give you a little bonus. Let me throw a little bonus at you. Look at this word Yuddhaya. Let's look at the fourth pada, Yuddhaya. We said Yuddhaya means what? Yuddha ke liye, for Yuddha. Right? Yuddhaya. Now, where have you heard this sound before? Om Namo Shivaya. Right? Om Namo Shivaya. Shivaya. Why? So I bow to Shiva. May my bow reach Shiva. This is for Shiva. So Om Namo Shivaya. So this is how I remember it. Whatever words we use, that's how I fix it in me. Yuddhaya is for Yuddha. Becomes easy to remember. So there are 7 vibhaktis. Vibhakti is how the noun relates to the verb. Very simple. How the noun relates to the verb. So if I say Samiraha Namaskaram, right? So Samira is the person I'm addressing. Or Samiraha Patham Pathati. Pathati is what? He reads. Right? Pathati, he reads. So if I say Samiraha Patham Pathati, if I could just say Samiraha Pathati, Samir is studying, reading. Now see what happened? Pathati is third person. I put the name of the person there. That's all. But how did I connect the noun to the verb? I put Samiraha. Samiraha is karta, one who is doing. This is the prathama vibhakti. The first vibhakti is the doer, karta. It's very deep. If you go into these vibhaktis, it's very deep. It is a whole philosophy behind it. Our whole darshan comes in it. And someday we can talk about it. It's just brilliant. Anyway, so what did I say? Samiraha Patham Patati. Samira is studying or reading the Patha. Why did I say Samiraha Patham Patati? Why didn't I say Samiraha Patha Patati? Because if I said Patha, that means Patha is the doer. Patha is not the doer. Samira is the doer. How do I tell you if Samira is the doer? I'll just put a visarg after it. And that is the first vibhakti, prathama vibhakti. Samiraha Patham Patati. So if Samiraha is the doer, that's how I designate the doer. First rule is to fix what the verb is. Whenever you get troubled with Sanskrit sentences, nail the verb and nail the doer, the nominative or the karta. So Samiraha Patati. What is the verb? Patati. We say Patati means what? Usually Patati is he or she reads. Right? We have done that. You already know this, I hope. Patati. Pathami, patasi, patati. Why do we say pathami? There's another Sanskrit theory about it. We'll do that as another day. But patati, he reads. Now I just put his name there. Samiraha patati. Whenever Samira is the doer, I'll put a visarg after it. Samira. That is the relationship of Samira to the action. Samira is studying. Samiraha patham patati. What is he studying? What is he reading? He's reading the patha. Samira is the doer and his object is the patha. He is doing that. Karta ne karam ko. Samir पाठ को पढ़ते हैं. Right? So Samiraha Patham Pathati. Now this is the second vibhakti. Second vibhakti is Karta ne karam ko. So if you are doing something, that which you are doing is the second vibhakti. So how do we say this in Sanskrit? If I say, let's use the word Janaha. Janaha is the first. Janaha is person, or Naraha, male, or Ramaha. Ramaha is the Prathama vibhakti. Ramam, Ramako. Ramam. Right? So that two vibhaktis, Ramaha, Ramam. I will come to the third vibhakti a little. Well, okay, let's do it. Third is Ramen. Ramen is Ram ke dwara. Now again, see the relationship. Ram ke dwara, with the help of Rama, Rama as the instrument, I do something. The relationship again between the noun and the verb is a little different. Rama is not doing it. Through Rama, I'm doing it. Follow? So, I can say, Aham Samirena Saha Patham Patati. Samirena, or actually it will be Samirena, because there's a ra in it. Samirena, with, it can also be used as with. Samirena. So suddenly Samir is not the doer. It is with the help of Samira that I am doing. So, Ramaha, Ramam, Ramena. With the help of Rama, I do something. Fourth, we just did. What was that? Om Namah Shivaya. For Shiva, Ramaya. So, Samira, Ramaya, Pustakam, Dadati. Dadati is to give, Dada, right? So, for Rama, Samir gives a book. Samiraha is the doer. Ramaya, to Rama, Pustakam Dadati. Or Ramaya, Pustakam Patati. For Rama, he is reading. So, Ramaya. So, the way I remember it is Om Namah Shivaya, for Shiva, Ramaya. So, the four vibhaktis are Rama, Ramam, Ramena, Ramaya. When we were in school, I used to remember it as Janaha, Janama, Janin, Janaya. I just memorized it and crushed it. But if now I understand, if you understand it, there's a deep meaning behind it. Fifth vibhakti is Ramat. Ramat is coming from. And this is called Apadana. Apadana is coming from. Apadana has a very deep meaning. Everything comes from the divine. Apadana. So the fifth vibhakti, coming from. So again, if you remember, now go back to I'll give you another free theory. Since that ma sound is so complete, it takes us to the sound of ahama. Ahama is I. And to me, what is the most complete thing? What is the most beautiful thing in the world? Is me. Right? So ahama, ma sound comes. So my ma was, of course, the one who made me complete. But as I get a little bigger, what happens? Now me, ahama. And that ma will follow me. So patami, vadami, ami. That ma always comes to me. Patamaha, and I don't want to confuse. Patama is when we do it together. Patami, ami. When in Sanskrit, when we talk of the other, ta sound is often coming. Patati. So when I talk about Samira, Samiraha patati, ta sound, tata is that. Ta sound somehow gives us a sense of something else. So tata, that. Tat means that. So patati is someone outside is studying. Ta sound gives a sense of going out of me. Tasmat. Tasmat is therefore, coming out of this, the next step. Tasmat. So, if I say Ramat, it is coming from Rama. So Ramata. So the 5 vibhaktis are Ramaha, Ramam, Ramen, Ramaya, Ramata. You can also say Ramataha. If you want to be very simple, you can say Ramataha. Yeah, we'll come to Shloka recitation, Rahulji. I just saw your, we'll come back to the, I just wanted to give the 7 vibhaktis and then we will go back. Since Samirji started this is not my fault. He wanted to do Sanskrit. So I just throw this in.
Yeah, can I go?
No,
You want to do
Rahul,
it or you want to finish this 2 more vibhaktis?
Okay.
So the way why did it is Jana, Janama, Janin, Janai, Janata. And the 5th, 6th is Janasya. This is very easy to remember. Janasya. So in English, we use apostrophe S. Rama's book. In Sanskrit, you will say Ramasya Pustakam. Ram ki pustak, Ramasya. It is to hold, it is to own. Sambandh. Kake ki rareri naneni. Sambandh. Ramasya. Samirasya Pustakam. Okay. So Jana, Janama, Janin, Janai, Janat, Janasya. And the last one is Jane. It is Adhikaran. We talked about it. I think we did. Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre. In, on, inside, may, paper. So that is the locative. So in Rama, Rame. Sound for some reason gives a sense of being in. And this will come. Maye. Sri Krishna will say, Maye. In me. Maye. So it plus a is what? A. A plus a becomes a. So here Rame. Inside Rama. So if you want to remember, and we can go over this, if you can practice this, Janaha, Janama, Janain, Janai, Janat, Janasya, Jane. And the 8th one, a lot of people don't believe in it, that it's a real vibhakti, is Sambodhana. So, Hey Jan. There is no vibhakti in Jan. Hey Jan. Hey Samir. Right? Hey Samir is, there's no vibhakti. I'm calling Samir. That's the Ashtami vibhakti. So, just try to memorize this and we will go over it again and again and again. Jana, Janama, Janain, Janai, Janat, Janasya, Jane. We keep practicing, it will come. Now, who wanted to recite it? Please go ahead. Who was that? Rahul? Someone wanted to recite it.
Yes, sir, I wanted to.
Go ahead. Do it, sir. All you.
Hato va prapyasi swargam, jitva va bhokshase mahim, tasmad uttishta kaunteya, yuddhaya kriti nishchaya.
Krita Nishchaya. Krita Nishchaya. Good. I think, yeah, just get the fear of enunciating out of you. That's why it's very good. And just practice it. You'll make mistakes, but you're among friends. No one will make fun of you except me. So feel free to
It was my first time.
It's good. Very good. Very good. First time we all did it. That's how we have done it. Okay. I don't know what time it is because I hope it is already 47 minutes. I didn't even realize it. If you want, we can stop now, Swamiji, and we can do questions.
yeah, I think we can let people questions.
We got carried away with Sanskrit. If you like the Sanskrit, we can keep doing it until it becomes a part of you. And the point to understand the Sanskrit is to understand the Gita. We are not becoming masters of it, to appreciate the Gita and to enjoy it. And then eventually, I'm telling you, you keep doing it, even Sanskrit will become easy. No questions?
Dr. P, I have Ramaha, Ramam, Ramen, Ramat, Ramasya, Rame. Is that, I'm missing one, I think, right?
Yes, you're missing one. Batao, aap batao.
I think
Jana, Janama, Janain, Janai, Janat, Janasya, Jane.
Janai, Ramai.
Ramaya, you forgot. राम के लिए, कर्ता ने कर्म को करण से के द्वारा संप्रदान को के लिए. इसको घोट लो. Just keep doing it 100 times and it will become a part of your DNA.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to, also struggle the same way what you said, right? This व्याकरण वाला route जो है, तो उसमें थोड़ा थोड़ा आता है फिर चले जाता है वैसे. So now that
we will practice it so much that it will become a part of you. In fact, that's how we will understand the shlokas. You keep doing it 10th time, Janai will become natural to you. These are so natural. Yena kena prakarena, if you have heard of it. In Hindi, we often use it, those who love Hindi. Yena kena prakarena. Right? You must have heard it. Do it any which way you want. Any, Samir will say, how do I do this? Samir ji, just do it. Yen kena prakarena. Yen kena prakarena. Which vibhakti is that?
Instrumental. Third.
प्रकारेण, किसी भी प्रकार से, येन केन, कैसे भी, येन जैसे भी, येन केन प्रकारेण. Right? We will, when we do the Vedas, it will come. Ritena ritam apihitam dhruvam vam. Truth is covered by truth. How beautiful. When we say, why is this world created like this? The truth has covered itself to create this world. Ritena, through the truth. So, yena kena prakaran. You can't forget the third one. You can't forget the fifth one. Because from the fifth one comes everything. Apadana. From the divine comes everything. You can't forget that. Taha. So, ta will always come. Ta sound keeps coming. Somehow it is associated with going out. Going to others. Okay. How do we use seventh vibhakti? Can you please explain again? Okay, Jideshji, let's do the first shloka. And the best way to do it is, I think we did an exercise a few weeks ago. I asked people to locate the seventh vibhakti. I forget who it was, but we never followed up on it. But that's good. I'm glad you brought it. So first shloka, let's just quickly read it so that you get familiarized with it. By the time we are done, you'll be familiar with most of the shlokas of the Gita. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samaveta yuyutsavaha. 1.1.
Yeah, I'll put it.
So dharma kshetre kurukshetre. And what the first word of the Gita is dharma. Dharma kshetre. So Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya, what did my people and the Pandavas do in the Dharma Kshetra, in the Kurukshetra? So, in the Dharma Kshetra is Dharma Kshetre. Kurukshetre. Kurukshetra, it's somewhere in Haryana. I don't know where it is exactly. Kurukshetra. Again, Kurukshetre means in or on Kurukshetra. So just these two words is, if I say, Aham Samire Pustakam, let's see, Sthapayati. I put the book on Samir. Imagine this, how silly it is. I put the book on his head. Samire, on Samir. Aham Samire Pustakam Sthapayati. Sthapayata, I keep Sthapana. Sthapayati. So sometimes I think I'll do silly things just to make you remember. Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. In the Dharma Kshetra, in the Kurukshetra. Samaveta Yuyutsavaha. Gathered together, eager to fight. Mamakaha. Mamakaha is my people, my things. Mamakaha. Pandava. Pandavaha. Pandavaha is plural of Pandava. Pandavaha cha iva. Pandava cha eva. Pandavas chaiva. Kim kurvata Sanjaya. What did they do? So that is where you will see the seventh vibhakti. And seventh vibhakti will come very often. We can actually do this exercise of looking for it. So A sound, the A sound becomes A, and that is where the it becomes me, pe, par. Actually, it means it has more meanings, but for now, locative is me, pe, par.
Another question is, can you break down the word acharya? I think looking at the etymology.
So dhatu is chara. Chara is to move around, right? Charati. Charati is moving. Chara chara. Chara achara. When you say chara chara, right? All creatures, chara achara. So then chara means doing. Charati, acharan, right? Acharya. So that's achara. So in the Veda, this is called nirukta. This knowledge is called nirukta, the etymology. Nirukta, you go to the root of the word. Where did this word come from? So suppose we take the word Agni. Let's just take an example. Agni. And you will like this. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So for Vasudeva. So that is your fourth vibhakti. Right? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Now Sanskrit is a little funny. Actually, it's deep. When I say Aham Tvai Snihayami, I don't say I love you. I say I find love in you. Tvayi. Tvayi. Remember that I is adhikaran. Tvayi. Inside you I discover love. Aham Tvayi Snihayami. And I think who is your famous Mishraji in the ashram, Sanskrit?
Sampadana.
Sampadananji has written a beautiful essay on it. If you can find it somewhere.
He has his own sort of a blog, Medium or something. If you search
Medium pe hai blog. How is love in Sanskrit? So maybe you may want to take a look. It's a very beautiful, he writes very nice essays on these. Aham Tvai Snihiyam. You can share it with everyone.
Yeah.
Love in Sanskrit or something it's called. I really enjoyed it. It was a good way of explaining it. So I forgot the question. What was the question? Sorry.
There is you can read it. He's saying, Aviral is asking, when you say Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya,
yes,
does it mean Bhagavat mein Vasudev ke liye?
So what does Bhagavat mean? Bhaga, remember bhaja, apportioning, or one whom you give the blessed one. Bhagavata means the blessed one. Bhagavate is within, in that divine. Bhagavate, that's how I have always understood it. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Bhagavate inside the divine. That's how I have always taken it. You don't say Om Namo Bhagavata. Om Namo Bhagavate. Inside the divine. For the divine. So Sanskrit always takes you to the inner world. And that's why even when you say Aham Tvai Snehiyami, I find love inside you. And that's a very unique way of in Sanskrit.
So it's like I kind of offer myself to the God, inside the God and for the God.
Within the God.
Within the God.
In the divine. Remember, divine is not somewhere outside.
Yeah,
we are in the divine here right now.
Yeah.
This whole universe is the divine. We are in the divine. If you go to the vibhaktis, they are very beautiful. And I didn't want to do it, but let me just quickly do it. And I think Panini has done a beautiful job of describing what the role of how each is related to action. So if you go deep into it, think about it, how beautiful it is. Karta, the doer, the final doer is the divine. So you put Visarga. Visarga is, and this is called Akaranta. every word that ends with a. That's why it's called akaranta. Nara, Jana, Rama, these are all akaranta. They end in a. So Naraha from Ramaha. Let's do Rama because that brings the bhava. Ramaha from Rama. Rama is the doer. The divine is the doer. Finally, at the end, the divine is the doer. There's no other doer. Ramaha. Ramam. Ram is doing something. He has an love for something. Ramam. Love for. When your focus is on them, so direct relationship with something is the karma. Kartane karam ko. Direct relationship. Now, if it's slightly indirect, it is not that close, it is slightly indirect, we come to the fourth vibhakti. Aham samiraya patham pathami. Aham samiraya patham pathami. I'm doing it for Samir. There's a little distance. Object has gone a little far. If I'm kartane karam ko is closer relationship. Slightly distant is now the fourth vibhakti. I'm giving it for him. There's a little difference. So just, if you can remember that, that's where people get confused. All medium is the divine. Ramena. Everything comes from the divine. Ramataha or Ramat. You can use both. Ramata. The sixth one is interesting because sixth one is not an action. Ramasya, Ram owns it. Rama is not, there's not an action of Rama. Sixth one is slightly different. And the seventh one, apadan, adhikaran. Adhikaran, the way, and I forget the shlokas, if you want, I'll get it from Panini's Ashtadhyayi, is how adhikaran is, all this is the divine. In that divine we exist. In that divine we are. In that divine we move. On that divine we exist. On that divine we walk. So that adhikarana sense is there, and he has beautifully described it. So these are the relationship of that original doer to different actions. And that's all vibhaktis are. 5 relationships. That's it. Or 5 or 6 relationships.
Would you say
you can remember that and just go through it? It will make Sanskrit very easy for you. At least to me, it became very easy.
So is it sort of like Purusha and Prakriti? What is the relationship? 7 types of...
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
The flow of...
And as the divine manifested, things kind of moved things further away from himself. And that's how the understanding was. I have to get more of it. I ordered the Ashtadhyayi. Now I'm getting, because of you guys, I'm going deeper into Sanskrit too. But I think it's fun. Oh my God, I shouldn't have opened this Pandora's box of Sanskrit. Ab meri pitai hogi. Remember, I'm not a Pandit in Sanskrit. I just do it because I love it. So we can do research. If I don't know an answer, I'll tell you. And feel free to check on it because, you know, if I make a mistake, obviously I want to learn. And we will all learn. Feel free to research it. There's nothing. You can always add to our knowledge. I came to the Gita through Sri Aurobindo. So whenever I read the Gita, I just read essays on the Gita. I never read Gita in the original. It's only because of last year, a friend of ours wanted me to talk about the Gita. And so then I had to go deep into the Sanskrit of it, which is beautiful. Okay, a lot of questions coming in, Swamiji.
If you have time, you can go on. Otherwise, you can take it.
I can take time. It depends. You guys, it's for you, it's the morning. So, but
no.
if
I
you're
mean, whoever
glutton
needs to
for
drop out
punishment,
can...
I'll be happy to talk.
No, please, because...
Okay, you choose the question.
So one question was about this Sri Rama, Rame, Rameti. Can you explain Manorami? So I'm saying to him, first try it yourself to do it, right? Based on what is discussed, and then maybe
yeah, happy to do. So this
next
is
time we
not,
can-
you have to go back, just like we did, gachami, gachasi, gachati. That's how I learned it. The way I learned it, I'm just giving it to you. And then it just fixes itself.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it. Then it becomes easy.
So we'll take two questions which are already there, by the way. Don't put more questions.
Go ahead.
So one question from Rahul is, you mentioned about 7 lokas. Is Swarg Lok or Nark Lok a physical place like Earth, or a state of being, or maybe something else?
So think about it. What you're thinking, your mind, is it a place? Is it a physical place? Your thoughts.
Rahul, you can answer.
It's not a physical.
Your
So
voice is cracking.
these are sukshma, right? As you get
Yeah.
more and more subtle. So physical is the most sthula, the grossest. But physical is it's just because to our senses it seems real. But these other worlds are as real to that consciousness that is totally aware of it, that is withdrawn from the physical. In fact, at that consciousness, the physical doesn't even exist. Physical is actually the most outer, the most unimportant for the yogi. I shouldn't say that because everything is important. But because Sri Aurobindo says everything is important, even the physical is important. But in go back to our ancient yoga, we withdraw, right? Kurmongani va sarvasha, you withdraw yourself from the senses. Then where is the physical? So these are real. These are as real to the consciousness. These are actually more real. In your sleep, are you in the physical? When you're sleeping? No, you don't know where your body is, right? You've gone into another loka. Whether you call it swapna loka, whether you call it nidra loka, you've gone into another world. You don't exist for 12 hours or at least 7 hours, 8 hours. Your physical existence is gone to you. So think about it for a moment. So physical is just an introduction. It's just one layer. It is not the complete answer. It is, and that is our ancient spirituality. So these are physical. No, they're not physical, but they're as real to that consciousness that is experiencing them or
Can
living.
you say different planes? These are different planes.
Yeah, these are different planes. Loka. Loka is really a world. You can say it's a different dimension. It's a different universe. Loka technically means a universe. Right? It is a different universe. Mental universe is a different universe. All our philosophers, thinkers, they just live there. Right? Great philosophers don't even notice their bodies. They just in that thought that all exists to them. To a greater yogi, he's gone to a different level. So that's even beyond thought. They are in that, totally absorbed. They can stay for days in that, years in that. And the body is not even noticed.
Yeah,
It may even fall off and they may not notice.
About Machiavelli, he said, I've read more books than the meals I've had. Or somebody.
Yes. Yes. People like me, we can live in books all day long. There's nothing. I don't need anything. Keep me in a room, lock me up, give me all the books in the world. Whatever I want, I'm happy. I'm in my swarga. What was the other question?
This is the question, Dr. P, what you just answered. What is then, how do you can think of, understand Swarga or Narka from this dimension?
So in our tradition, Narka is not really big. Actually, in Veda, technically, there is no Narka.
Yeah.
There are a couple of shlokas that talk about Narka, but it is not important. It was never important. In fact, there are some writers I've read, they said there is no Narka in the Veda. Then I saw a couple of shlokas that there is Narka. But Narka too is a stage. It's an intermediate stage. It is not the end ever. You don't do things and Indra will throw you in Narka forever. It doesn't happen. So our approach is to see these different lokas and even look at how many lokas we are living in. We are living in the physical. Prana, the vital energy, we are living in it. Mental, manomaya, right? Pranamaya, or what was that? Annamaya. Anna is the physical. Then Vijnanamaya, just a higher knowledge, a higher intuition. And we all have that intuition, right? And we have talked about it in the past. How do you know you exist? If I tell you, you don't exist. Swamiji, you don't exist. Okay, great. But there is always an inner knowing. There is something. I am. I can prove it to you logically that you don't exist. Still you exist. You know I exist. What is that? That is not a thought process. That is not thinking. You're not thinking I am, I think, therefore I am. No. You know I am. That is the only manifestation of the Vijnanamaya in us. Sri Aurobindo has described it beautifully. If you want to know the Vijnanamaya, go back into the sense of being. Asmita, I am. So Nisargadatta Maharaj takes his whole thing. I am, I am. That I amness takes you to that great inner realization. So that is coming from where? That is not coming from your mind. That is not your body telling you. You don't care about the body. You know you are. I take the body away from you. You know you are. Always you know you are. So that is coming from another level. We don't pay attention to it, but it's always there. And the Vedanti, like Maharshi Ramana, just makes his whole journey into realizing what this I is. What is this I? I. Vichar karo. I always used to say, understand what this I is. And that is your connection to the Vijnanamaya. Anandamaya. Are you getting joy out of reading this Sanskrit? I am in bliss. Where is that Ananda coming from? When you do something that you totally love, that Ananda is coming from where? That Ananda is already there. You're just taking the excuse. The third vibhakti is just an excuse to reach that Ananda. You are reading the Sanskrit, you're reading Sri Krishna's, hearing his voice, that gives you the Ananda. So now that is the instrument to that Ananda, but you are that Ananda. Nothing is creating that Ananda for you. Ananda is ahaituk, right? So again, that's another loka. And in our 5 bodies in the Upanishads that we describe, at least 5, that is our deeper body, Anandamaya Purusha, that is our deeper self, or Anandamaya Sharira, that is our 5th. So we don't have one body. When you say, physical body, that's just one layer. We have at least 5 bodies. These are, in Veda, a different term was used because the Veda is very symbolic. And the Vedic rishis describe these universes as you ascend to different layers, different loka, then you will experience differently. You can live in the mental loka. You can go above the mental loka to the loka of the sun. Sun is what? Not the physical sun. Sun is your Satchidananda. It's a symbol of Satchidananda. And you can reach that. You can live in that consciousness. That was our, ancient aspiration. So that is the sense of loka, that how, our tradition makes us understand it.
Rahul, are you good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So the last question is from Rajesh. And Rajesh, you want to say the question yourself? And
Yeah,
have
the
like
question is, the question, Dr. P, is that it's about free will versus freedom of choice. I think you just earlier mentioned, even in today, that action is happening through you. So if it's happening through you, what sort of choice do we have? Or is it any free will at all?
So one thing, you can call me Pariksith. Since we are doing Sanskrit, might as well speak.
Parikshit.
You can call me Pariksith. I'm happy with that.
Hmm.
Parikshita would be the Sanskrit name.
Hmm.
Ta, because you add the vowel at the end. In Hindi, we would say Parikshit. In Sanskrit, we would say Pariksita, that who has been tested. So again, because it's important to learn Sanskrit, Parikshita, Krita, what was that word? Krita Nishchaya, Krita, established or done. I forget what was the other one. Hatha, dead, killed, Hatha. So this will come back again and again. This is called a participle, when a verb becomes an adjective. So in Sanskrit is again very beautiful. Verbs turn into nouns and adjectives. The dhatu becomes all these words. And it happens in English too. But that is the original thing. So yeah, let's talk about free will and determinism. Everything we do is determined by other factors, or is there a free will? Now, let's look at it from the Western perspective, then we'll come to our ancient Indian Gita perspective. So in the Western concept, you are a free individual who has a choice and the free will. You are not determined by circumstances. And, you know, most Western new philosophies, later philosophies, insist on this free will. Nietzsche was big on this. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche, through my will, the power of my will, I will create. I will make this overman, or what we translate as a superman. Through the willpower, I will create it. I am free to create. That's a Western concept, that I'm not determined by my circumstances. The Gita goes a little deeper. And if you go back to our Sankhya, Sankhya talks about what? This is all Prakriti, right? So Prakriti, I have the 5 bhutas, the air, the earth, the space, the sky, the water and fire, the bhutas, and the tanamatras. So matra is how I feel them, through sight, through smell, through taste, through hearing, right? I forgot, to touch. So these are the tanamatras, matra. How do I receive these bhutas?
The sensors.
Huh?
The sensors
Yeah.
in the today's world, in the computer, they say
Right,
that.
different modes of sensing.
Yeah.
And then I have the sensors, my Jnanendriya, the 5 indriyas, and the Karmendriya, through which I do things. Where do where does the sensory information go? To the mind. Mind takes it. Where does that take it? It's all concentrated in a sense of self, in a sense, which is the ahankara. Ahankara, that which creates aham. That sense gives you a sense of being, the sense of being I, right? And then the buddhi, mahata, or the buddhi. Buddhi is the refined, the intelligence that can sift, that can separate out things. This is all Prakriti. So when we think, and I do things, and I think I'm doing things, who is doing it? Prakriti. Prakriti, which according to Sankhya is jada, has no intelligence. Now that's not what the Gita said, but I'm just, according to Sankhya, these 23 tattvas are all jada. We think, we say, oh, it's me, I love it. But no, it is just a principle of Prakriti. A principle of Prakriti called aham centers all this, and I say, yes, it's me, but tomorrow it will be all broken, and this aham principle goes back to the Prakriti. This aham did not exist before, and this aham will not exist later. It's just Prakriti has put these things together through its 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas, put it together and it will break it down. Where is the free will? Everything that you think is your will, your ichha shakti, is all made up of these tattvas. That is the Sankhya understanding. Why? Because our Sankhya is able to step out from all this to a new, shall I call it, principle, which is the pure consciousness, the Purusha, So in the Purusha, according to traditional Sankhya, there is no will. You're not doing anything. You're just watching. Right? You're just the Sakshi. Or Anumanta. Anumanta is you give Anumati, but your Anumati is also passive. You're not saying that, okay, stop Prakriti, you stop this, no. You're not everything. Anumati is a very passive Anumati. Everything is happening. So now what willpower do you have? What free will do you have? You have no free will. If you identify yourself with the Purusha, you have no free will because you have no will. And if you say, I'm Prakriti, I'm this, mind and buddhi and ahankara, well, it is all made of Prakriti and it will all it's all a mix. It's like me making a recipe in the kitchen, mixing up things, making bread. And you say, I'm that bread. Okay, but we will eat it and it will be gone. It is just a mixing together. Prakriti has mixed these things together, which you say, it's me. But there is no such me. So that is the ancient Sankhya understanding. Now, Sri Krishna takes it further. Sri Krishna says, you're not the doer anyway, boss. Arjuna, you're not the doer. Why are you not the doer? Sankhya. Sankhya tells you you're not the doer. Everything is done by Prakriti. So if Prakriti is doing anything, whom are you killing? This is Sri Krishna's beautiful logic. You are not doing anything. Everything is done by Prakriti. You're not killing anyone. Chill. Relax. But then later, what does Sri Krishna do? Sri Krishna introduces the concept of Purushottama, which takes over the Sankhya concept of Purusha. So in Sri Krishna's concept, the Purushottama is not just the Sakshi or the Anumanta, the passive Anumanta, but the Lord, the Ishvara. And a new bhava comes, I am the Lord of this Prakriti. Who is this I? It is again not me, not Pariksita. It is Sri Krishna. The Purushottam is the master of Prakriti. Now, if you say, okay, I am Purushottama, but then it is all Purushottam's will. It is not my will again. This Aham's will is taken away. So either it's Prakriti's will at this level, at the lower level. As we ascend to a different understanding, we realize this Prakriti is not Jada. This Prakriti is alive. This Prakriti is full of intelligence. Why? How do I say this? It has kept all these electrons and these atoms together. It has kept all these galaxies together. And it's moving them together with great skill. That is not Jada. That is beautiful intelligence. That is great power. So what is this power? Sri Krishna calls it the Para Prakriti, the higher status of Prakriti. But this higher status of Prakriti, which is intelligent, which is wise, is ruled by the Purushottama. Purushottama is the divine Sri Krishna or the Parameshvara. In another way, if you try to explain it is what we would call Mahashakti. So Prakriti is not just an external dead Prakriti. Prakriti is actually Mahashakti. It is the wisdom of Saraswati. It is the opulence of Lakshmi. It is the great wisdom of Maheshwari. It is the power and might of Mahakali. That is Mahashakti. So this universe is a manifestation of Mahashakti. But Mahashakti is not alone because Mahashakti is with Mahashiva or Purushottama. They are together, always one. So when you come to that understanding, then either you have no will. If you're just part of Prakriti, then there's no will. It is all Prakriti doing its all, razzmatazz, quantum probabilities, things are happening, and you're not doing anything. But when you reach to a higher level, then all your will is taken over by the Purushottama. And again, what is the free will? Your free will is all Purushottama's free will. That is how Sri Krishna ends his great teaching. So suddenly the free will and the determinism, free will is very relative. Think about it. Our free will is so partial. What I have been taught is what I like. I think I'm choosing. Really, I'm conditioned. I'm so conditioned in my life, in my thought, in my habits, in my feelings. I say, oh, okay, I choose to go to have a cup of coffee. Well, no, how come you didn't go choose and have a cup of kahwa from Kashmir? Because you don't even know the taste. You're conditioned. And kahwa, you may not like it because there is salt in it. I'm just taking an example. Don't take me seriously. But all our choices are relative. We really don't make a true choice. Our choices are conditioned. When we make a true choice, then we are actually in the Purusha. Only the Purusha has the free will. That is the wisdom of the Gita.
Can I ask one more follow-up to that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Or- okay. I think I heard Partho saying this very similar thing with Kunal in another podcast. So conditioning makes perfect sense. How that conditioning changes. So conditioning is from past whatever number lives, call, whatever number that is. But is there any delta there that changes the future conditioning from here? How or why would one to do that delta? How would one believe that I can do this delta that can possibly change this conditioning, maybe not in this time, but later on?
So let's look at the paradigm you have given. There are two ways of looking at it. You are seeing yourself as separate, right? I am going to make a change. But are you really separate? Were you ever really separate? And if you are making that choice, is there something in you making that choice? Right? That is the first question. Am I, Pariksith, sitting here separate? First, I think we have agreed, at least I have agreed on your behalf, that I'm not separate. I'm Prakriti, I'm part of this Prakriti. But is there something in me making that decision? Maybe it's Sri Krishna sitting here made a decision for me. And I'm saying it's my decision because my ego is clinging to everything that's happening. So that's first thought. Second thought, I do have the Purusha awareness in me constantly. When I divide it, when I say you have no will, yes, I was very, very stark about it. But you always have that pure awareness, even right now. Remember we talked about I amness. It is not that it's divorced from you and you're just a, automated entity. That consciousness is always there shining deep inside. It is the divine in you, as you, choosing to live this life. That psychic being, that being is living. That psychic being can turn any moment. Whether it can use the mind, whether it uses the prana, whether it uses opening of the feelings. So you can't separate that, okay, I have decided to make that delta in you. You are that delta. You are that delta. And when that change is happening, who is to say that you made the decision or the Purushottama in you made that decision or even the Prakriti in you made the decision? Where do we separate it? So first, when we separate it, we get it's artificial. Right? Only in that state of pure Purusha is that separation happening. In us, it is all these things together. But in us, there's a very clear sense also, if we pay attention to it, is a pure consciousness. That bodha is always there. That psychic is always there in everything you're doing. If you didn't have the psychic, you wouldn't be here. Right? The divine here. The divine can choose. That is the delta. At least that's my humble understanding. Of Partho Dada, of course, if Partho Dada says something, I pay a lot of attention to it because he's coming from a deep experience. But yeah, this is the Vedantic understanding.
And hopefully Partha is going to have third episode with Kunal. I think he probably paused at that conditioning concept. I think he needs to finish off or like expand upon it in the next one.
So if I had a choice, and this is I tell Dada, if I had a choice between going to a dentist and going to Dada, I would go to the dentist. It's like pulling teeth, right? Samir Swamiji can tell us, right? It's like pulling teeth. But if you can get him nicely, it all depends. He doesn't like all this. This is not his world.
No, we are doing now with him, na?
If he's doing it, it's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
I have a
US time
question.
doesn't suit basically. So we'll do another one. Hopefully Rajesh
That's
can.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, he's coming to the US eventually, so I just in his sanidhya, I will
Yeah.
absorb all his wisdom.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if Rajesh can also meet him or be in a session in New York. He lives in New York.
Yes, it's worth it. Worth it. He's
Yeah.
I think he's the greatest Vedanti that I know of. I don't know of anybody else who is in pure Vedanta of his caliber.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
You just said in your state of pure Purusha, you're able to make the choice. But then you started off saying the Purusha is the Anumanta, is the Sakshi. So then you just
Yes.
contradicted
So
it.
depends on who you are. Are you a Sankhya thinker like Kapil Muni? Then he would say, no, you cannot make any decision. Kapil Muni said, no, you don't make any decision. You're in Purusha, no decisions. Shri Krishna doesn't say so. Shri Krishna says that Purusha is directly connected to the Purushottama. Purushottama makes the decision, but there is no separation between you and Purushottama. So whatever, you become the total nimitta, you be totally surrendered. You do it through me. But that higher you, that Purushottam is you too. Right? It's not like you are two separate beings. That Purushottam is making decisions. It's just what Sri Krishna does is change the perspective. Perspective is I do. No. Perspective is the divine does. That is the shift.
And you are also divine. So
Yeah, you are.
I think I got that clear, but what do I do with this? How do I use this because I'm living and I am making choices and everything.
Right.
And I think it's going too long. We're going over time, but
that's okay. So that is what yoga is about. That's all Sri Gita's yoga is, how to turn this instrument, this nimitta, into more and more Sri Krishna's instrument. So that we become supple, so that we allow that. We remove our prejudices, our biases, our limitations from this flow of energy, from this infinite energy that I am. I've limited it to this so-called ego and me and mine. How do I make it unlimited and infinite and let that Purushottama have a pure action? I have to remove all the barriers. What is the difference between a river and the sea? It is just perspective. A river is narrow, same water. The sea enters the sea. What happened? Right? Or you put a dam over it. Now you've clogged it. Well, remove the dam and the river is flowing. Reach the sea and suddenly you are everything. So it's just, that is our Vedic symbol, by the way. So realizing that this river is the sea, it is the same water as the sea. How do you realize it? Keep dropping away your limitations. Keep becoming a better instrument. Learning as you read Sri Krishna, refining your mind, opening your consciousness so that all the limitations of thought, limitations of feeling, limitations of senses, they start going away. You stop identifying with this and you start becoming wider and wider and bigger. That is your consciousness. That consciousness, then there is no blockage. Then that consciousness does whatever it needs to be done, which is your consciousness. It is not like you disappear and something new comes up. It is always you. You just don't know it. Most of the time.
Okay,
I think I've tortured you guys enough, so I'm going to leave and you guys can meditate on this, and I'll send some Sanskrit lessons if you like through the week and you can play with it. Okay, namaskaram.
Thank you, Parikshit ji.